That's right, guys. I'm playing some Trove right now, and honestly, this is going to be a pretty complicated video. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time, but at the same time, it's a video that nobody wants to make, and that's when one of your favorite games, a game that you're very passionate about, you have hundreds of hours into, just starts going to crap. And I think we've all been there. I think we've all had that game where we've put so much into, and then just stops becoming worth it because the developers just destroy their own game in pretty fantastic ways, and Trove is one of them. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get my points across as clearly as I want to. I could easily rant and ramble about this for, an hour at this point, because I've been playing Trove for about 3 years now. I have well over a year of just hardcore, insane grinding, playing 6 hours a day. So, I just have crazy amounts of time in Trove. I spent hundreds of dollars on this game. I'm pretty sure that if you actually watch my videos, you can, kind of pinpoint the amount that I've played. I think the last time I checked, my patron points were at, 600. But patron points don't mean anything. So one issue I have with the game right now that I think has actually been a recurring issue that just gets worse and worse is that tradable items have been very scarce, and that's to kind of slow down the top players. So it feels like, Trove is trying to just get newer players in the game, spending a little bit of money on all, the entry-level stuff, while forsaking their older players entirely, and then just using us as flux and money sinks. We have too much money, we have too much power in the game, so they're trying to restrict that from us, while also inviting new players in the game, and they've been doing that by making pretty much every update for the last year and a half untradeable. And that's really been upsetting me, because there used to be an economy. There used to be a way of making money, and now there isn't. And now that everything is untradeable, newer players, they get kind of a head start compared to where we were, but also they struggle. I've been sitting on millions of flux for years now, and I'm hearing people like, oh man, I'm struggling to get my first 50k, and they've been playing the game for months as well. So there isn't a lot of ways of making money like there used to be, but also there's a lot of players that have been sitting on absurd amounts of money from the old days. So I think that this right here, we can pinpoint when Trove started ruining their own game, and that's when they made these Dragon Souls untradeable, and that's when they started making the Dragon Coins untradeable, that you have to grind for all of these dragons. So if you want max mastery, you have to put absurd amounts into the game. Money. You have to pay real life money if you want to catch up with the players now. And I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if it's unintentional. I don't know if it's a side effect but whatever. But Dragon Coins, they used to be tradable. Worth around 1 to 2k. Sometimes they'd jump when a new dragon comes out. Sometimes they'd crash when everyone already had all the dragons they wanted. And you could do a lot of things with them. You could straight up craft dragons, because I think Selene the Celestial Storm, this was before Dragon Coins were untradeable. I think we got a couple that were, and then they immediately became. Or maybe Selene was the first untradeable dragon. But for a while, you could just start crafting these souls, and you also receive these souls through daily perks. So what you would do is you'd run out, kill a couple of bosses, and then there would be the challenge that comes up every hour or so. Actually, if I talk for 7 more minutes, which I'm probably going to do, it would pop up, and then you got some dragon caches. And if you open them, you get dragon coins, which you could immediately sell and start building some wealth that way. Or you could also get some souls, sell them, buy them like that. And the souls had some pretty good economy behind them. During the event, the souls could crash as low as 600 each. I think I've seen Bone Dragon souls as low as 500, and that means if you wanted a dragon, you didn't have to pay a lot of money, and if you wanted to craft them through dragon coins, you also didn't have to pay a crazy amount of money. I think it used to be 1 or 2 dragon coins for multiple souls, but now it's multiple dragon coins for 1 soul, now that dragon coins are untradeable, and they're actually less. There's less of them out there than there used to be, because now it's just this daily thing. You can only do so much. You can only get maybe 10 dragon coins per day, but it costs 300 dragon coins to craft a dragon in some cases. So that means you have to spend months of dedicated play just to get your first dragon, and then they still cost flux on top of it. So the dragons are absurd right now compared to how they used to be, and that's because of just the untradeable things, and there used to be economy. I used to be able to buy souls near the end of the event for 600 each or something like that, and then I would eventually flip them for 2-3k when they started going back up in price. I made my first couple 100,000, I think I might have made my first millions doing that. I also did the same by crafting and selling the souls. That you could craft, and since the souls were tradable, you could maybe find 50 to 100 flux profit per soul, but since everyone wants a dragon, you could sell hundreds of souls per day and still make relatively good profit. Also, yeah, I was about to say, I think these guys are going to sneak up and try to hit me. So I remember that. I remember making a lot off of Neon and Ancient Dragon Souls and stuff like that. But now what do you do with it? So yeah, getting mastery is untradeable for the most part. Same with the Chaos Chest. That Chaos Chest, that was how Trove made their money, I feel. that they were like, yo, we're selling chaos chests, that you spend 50 credits, you know, you pay a couple bucks, get a couple hundred credits, and then you can sell these chaos chests for a couple thousand flux. So if you want to make money, you can buy one of these chaos chest deals, flip it for cash, there you go, or you could open them. If you open the chaos chest, you might get the rare mount of the week, which is worth, you know, 50 to 100k or something, and then that was pretty good. So there was balance to the economy, but now chaos chests, they're untradeable, and the way that you craft with them is actually pretty absurd. So again, like, now they're making it to where if the older players, the established players, if we want to get the new items, we can't buy them anymore. You know, we have to put work into it, which is fair, you know, I'm understanding that as much. But then, like, some of this is absurd even for new players. So I like that you can craft classes. That classes you don't have to spend real money on. You can just do it and then you're good to go. You can even make all the advanced classes, and it's actually not that expensive. You know, through playing through the game, you can unlock classes. Good. This is what intro players need. But now look at this. What in the world? You get a Chaos Core as like an uncommon, I think, drop from Chaos Chests, which are untradeable, which you only get so many of. So now it's not like I could buy a couple hundred Chaos Chests for a couple thousand each, and then kind of get all the mounts that I wanted to. I have to craft them. And now that everything is randomized, you know, I've gotten the weekly mount 3 rares in a row. And then that's not putting me closer to any of these other things. And then, like, it's still absurd, you know, 30k here, 30k there, when I used to be able to buy these on the market for 25k, and that doesn't mean forcing myself to open, you know, 40, maybe 40 chaos chests to get those 6 right there. So that's going to be a couple thousand effectively. The flux, the items, like, that's an absurd amount of cupcakes and sunlight bulbs. That's another couple thousand right there. Just get a stupid waffle. You know, like, it's harder to get mounts. So the new players that are struggling to get their first couple thousand, they're dying right now. You know, they can't build up mastery points, and then they can't get as many of the perks that the established players have when the mastery points were easier, buyable in a more fluid economy where, you know, if you just played the game, you would make money. That, okay, even when Chaos Chest became a rare drop, it's like, if I got a Chaos Chest, I'm selling that on the market for 3k, something like that. But now that it's untradeable, doesn't work that way. Also, you could play the Chaos Chest like a stock. If it was a really garbage week, terrible loot in the Chaos Chest, you just go and open, or you buy them, I mean. You buy them for super cheap, 1, 2k each, and then maybe next week there'd be an amazing one, it goes up to 3k. You can make 40% of your money pretty regularly, and that's how a lot of people, they establish wealth. And, you know, there's the cash cows in the game that have tons of flux, and they were the ones that were just kind of sharing the wealth. So there's good spread right now, but now there hasn't been an update that uses wealth in, you know, years. I feel like it's been like a year and a half since there was an actual really powerful tradable economy update. Maybe, yeah, like, I honestly can't remember the last time that it happened, because ever since the Mantle of Power, when they introduced gems, and when they started, like, when they made Chaos Chests untradeable, when they did Mantle of Power, it's like, oh, cool, I have to grind for all of these gems, which are absurd rerolls. You know, I've completed thousands, tens of thousands of dungeons just to be a moderately good player. I used to be in, like, the top 500, now I'm just a moderately okay player. And that's because, like, all of these, you know, you can only do so much per day, you can only do so much per week. I feel like I'm starting to lose track, but that's how many problems I have with this game. That now another issue that they've done is they've introduced gem stat rerolls, but that also goes back to when they first introduced Stellar Gear. It feels like that about every 6 months, 8 months, when there's one of those major power updates, Mantle of Power expansion, Shadow Tower, when they first did the Stellar Gear, when they first did the Radiant Gear, when they first did, like, all the upgrade changes to Shadow level 5 gear, because I think it used to be only Shadow. Like, it used to be Shadow 5 stars and that was it, right? I've been playing this game for years, I can't remember every little detail. And then when they first introduced the Shadow Gear, pretty much everything that you've worked up for until that update doesn't matter. That, you know, I could put in months, you know, to get my first Shadow level 5, that took months, that took tens of thousands of flux, that took so much work just to be able to play at not even the highest level, just a moderately high level. And then when all these new updates came out, Mantle of Power came out, they adjusted Magic Find to where patrons get double Magic Find. So the max Magic Find used to be, I think, like 600, now you can get 3,000 Magic Find. So gear that would take me weeks to get, like, actually, let's go and check my inventory right now, which is kind of full. Shadow gear used to be kind of tricky to get. Shadow level gear used to be the stuff to have. So I mean, I get Shadow gear level 4 and 5 drops regular now. I don't have a patron on, so if I had my patron perks going, I'd have double the Magic Find, I'd have 2,500 Magic Find, I'd be getting a Shadow level 4 drop. Also, that helps right there, getting a Pearl of Wisdom. I get a Shadow level 4 drop, you know, every 3 minutes, you know, or something absurd like that. Also, I need to empty out my inventory when I get the chance, but that's something else. So now when we look up the price of stuff, Forged Radiant Souls. Forged Radiant Souls used to be over 100k. I remember to get all of this stellar gear, I had to pay several 100k in the first month of the game to get all of the stellar gear maxed, and then it's weekly too, that you had to use the Titan Souls. And the Titan Souls, you can only get so many of those per week. So that means, it took a while to grind up, it was a really slow pace, but then after that, now there's just way too many. Because of the changes to Magic Find, the stellar gear is dropping faster than people are actually being able to get it on the weekly timer. So now stellar gear went from being worth 200 something K each to now 15k for a tradable drop, but the souls to actually craft them, it could maybe cost like 8k. To actually craft stellar gear if you want to put in the time, if you want to put in the weekly resets. And as a developer, if I was a game developer, I'd be mortified. If it takes less than a year for one item, the rarest item, or what should be one of the rarest items in the game, to go from 100k down to 600 each. And I mean, it's getting lower and lower. When I first started recording this video, they were at like 700, and now people are just going in, I'm going to buy these, You cannot, like, as an older player, I feel like I can't pass that up. There's something wrong with that. The Pentasouls are probably, I think the Pentasouls are actually less common. Yeah, Pentasouls are under a K. Those used to be 50k each all day long. The only way you could trade massive amounts of wealth was by using Pentasouls because they actually had some stable value to them. Now they're less than a K. And I feel that's because, like, the game devs, they've just been making it to where, oh, we need the new players to catch up with all the old players. So now what took me months to grind up for, you could literally buy for a couple of K. And if you have a friend come in, I can give anyone that wants to join me, I can give them all Radiant gear, maybe even Stellar gear for a day's worth of work. And that's a couple of friends already geared up and stuff. But that just feels like the years I put into this game mean nothing. Same for the gems. They recently introduced the gem reroll system. They also made older gems less powerful than newer gems. I kind of noticed that if you got a gem from an empowered box, the max stat it could have is 701 on the power rank. But now if you open a new gem, it can have up to, and I think over 800. So that means all the old gems that were harder to get, that took longer to get than they do now, are weaker than the newer gems from the most recent update. Kind of pisses me off that, again, like, all of this is hundreds of hours of work just to get over 20k PR. I've spent hundreds of dollars to achieve this as well, and now it's like, oh, wait a second, you're telling me now we have gem rerolls? Now I could have rerolled that god gem that I had to deconstruct to upgrade one of my lesser gems just because it didn't have the right stats. And another thing I don't like about the Trove devs is if you watch the Trove Weekly live stream, every week they make empty promises. They're like, yeah, that's going to be coming soon. Yeah, that's going to be coming soon. Oh, we're working on it. And then you find out the idea got scrapped. The idea gets scrapped or keeps getting pushed back. That the Mantle of Power update, or this new Shadow Tower update, they've been talking about it for like 6 months. Like, it should have been out 6 months ago, maybe even longer. They don't do second stat rerolls as often as they like. They just, it's like they forget about their game. I was talking to some of the devs at PAX, and I was like, hey, when's the next time you're doing a second stat reroll? And they're like, oh, we don't know. The person in charge of that, he hasn't talked about it for a while. I'm like, yeah, but it's been like a year since you've done a second stat reroll, and you said that you wanted to do those with every major event years ago, It's like, I'm holding true, like, my idea of the game is closer to what the devs used to think of the game than what the devs currently think, because now it seems like they don't even think about their game that much. Patches, they used to be once a week, then they were once every 2 weeks, and there was like a big patch every month. And I think before the Shadow Tower update, there wasn't a game patch for 3 months. So I didn't even play the game for 3 months because there wasn't even an update. And now this update comes in, and it ruins everything. So now let's get to the next ruining everything that the Trove devs have done right here, and that's with the new Shadow Tower. The new Shadow Tower is the biggest FU to any player base I have ever seen. Actually, this is Chaos Crafter, not the Chaos Tower. So again, I have years in this game, hundreds of dollars in this game, and I used to be able to do hard mode Daughter of the Moon solo. Well, with this new update, that's not a possibility anymore. So what they did was they made everything stronger, even though people have already been complaining about the Shadow Tower. I was fortunate that I could even beat the hard Daughter of the Moon, let alone solo it. Most of the players, they can't even beat hard Daughter of the Moon even in a squad of 7 because the game is so hard to power up in. It's so hard to level up in. Even with all these new updates, some players still struggle. Other players, they just get gifted from the top level players that kind of care bear them and stuff. But other than that, like, now it's even harder. So now I'm struggling. I feel like a player that hasn't worked a day. I feel like I haven't put any work in this game because instead of actually making it fair, you know, instead of introducing another tier, instead of giving us gradual scaling, they just said, you know what? Just make everything tougher. Make everything tougher, that's going to slow down the top players. So they're slowing us down. So they've already stunted us in the economy. We used to be able to like just toss around millions of flux and stuff. We used to be able to buy and trade for power ranking and mastery on the regular, and the devs didn't like that. So now there's like no economy in this game, and after, you know, over a year of making to where anything that is tradable is now untradeable, and you have to kind of grind down the game, it makes to where you just have to mindlessly do what I just did for the last couple minutes. Like, you saw what I was doing. Wow. I've been talking for a pretty long time in this video, and I feel like I could still talk for another hour. But you saw what I did. That's your core gameplay, guys. You just fly from dungeon to dungeon, you kill a thing, you fly from dungeon to dungeon, you kill a thing, and then after doing that for 10 hours, you might be able to craft something. You know, you might get little bits here and there. Kinda sucks. Also, you pretty much have to play this game weekly. That way you can max out all of your tomes, you can do all of your Shadow Tower grinds, and then you can kind of craft whatever you can. You might get a couple of extra gems out of it, and then you're done. So, you either have to play this game, like, you know, one day, one heavy day, 1 or 2 heavy days out of the week to keep up. But then if you want to kind of gain any ground on this game, you have to play non-stop while you're just doing mindless grinding that really doesn't go anywhere. So now we have to introduce you guys to the new changes, the upgrading gems. So like, hey guys, we care about you, we care about your gems, we care about your power, we want you to get good at this game, so we're going to let you upgrade your gems. We promised this a year ago, but we're finally updating it now. So, Bound Brilliance, you can only get a certain amount of these every week, which means that your gem upgrades are locked weekly. Same with this Binding Darkness and Lunar Souls. You can only get 6 Lunar Souls per week. So that means these Binding Darkness are also pretty difficult to get. You have to kill hundreds of bosses before you get even one Binding Darkness, and you might get one of them or 2 of them a week when you do your weekly stuff as well. So because of that, yeah, I get 2 gem rerolls a week. I get a couple of gem upgrades a week that aren't even worth anything. Let me go and craft this, you know. Guys, if I was to craft this right here, 150,000 flux. Anyone that's been in the game for a long time, that's a terrifyingly high amount of flux. That's an absurd amount of money. And you know what I get for it? I think I get 100 points, 100 stat points. And technically, like if I just did this a minor focus, like if I did the rough focus, that costs 2,000. That costs like 10k plus a Bound Brilliance, and it only gives me like 23 points in a stat, which is like worth 3 power rank. So I can buy a 3 power rank for doing weekly things. And then if I want to do my gem rerolls, there we go. Now, what the Shadow Tower wants from you, this newly upgraded, now pretty much impossible Shadow Tower, actually I'm just gonna, let's do hard dot out of the moon. Let's just see how hard it bodies me. Now with this new update, I think the Trove devs, they wanted to make this new update last a while. This update took them months. They had to halt all game development for months about this, and this is their biggest update, and it's absolute garbage. So what they did was, they made it to where everything was just harder, and they said, you know what guys, you can upgrade your stats, you can reroll your stats, so you're going to be more powerful. Problem is, they made it about as, like, look at this, I used to be able to one-shot everything in this dungeon. Like, what I was doing to those bosses earlier, used to be able to do that. Now, it's a struggle. And even then, when I get to the actual, and like this is the lower tier, this is the lowest level of the Daughter of the Moon Shadow Tower, so that means this is it on its easiest form, and it's like what Ultra used to, well actually no, Ultra used to be a little tougher than this, but I mean still, like look at this, it's like I'm not even doing any damage anymore, and I used to be one of the top players. I feel like all of my work means nothing now, and that's absolute BS. Like I don't understand why the devs would make this so strong and so just stupid now after all the work I've put into it, and I can only gain power every week. So that means I have to play for months again. I have to play every day for months just to catch up with the new Shadow Tower. And honestly, I feel like, you know, a couple months from now, they might just nerf the Shadow Tower. They'll be like, oh, you guys haven't been keeping up as much as we expected. We're going to make the Shadow Tower easier. So that means all the work I'm putting in now means nothing in a couple months, because that's all that the devs have done for the last couple of years or so. Also looking at some of the other changes, like, yeah, maybe they're just going to make it to where, oh, never mind, Bound Brilliance, no, I feel like for the gems rerolls, they might just remove Lunar Souls, or instead of 3 Lunar Souls, they make it 1 Lunar Soul. Because, like, if you're a newer player, if you can't even beat the Hard Dot of the Moon, like, people were struggling to beat Hard Dot of the Moon before the update. Now, players can't even beat normal sometimes, so that means it takes 3 weeks for 1 stat reroll for the average player. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, just for 1 reroll that's still completely RNG. Like, maybe if I could actually determine the stat I want with that gem, definitely more worth it. I'd be okay with paying like 5 lunar souls to get the stat I want instead of paying 10 to maybe get the stat that I've been trying to look for. I mean, look at this. I used to be able to one-shot that guy all day long. Same Shadow Tower, but now it takes that much power. So yeah, it seems like the devs are like, oh, all you guys have to do is grind for the next, it's so hard to kind of say what I want to say. I hope you guys can understand. I think the best way I want to say it is what they did was they gave this longevity. They wanted to make this future-proof. So what they did was they made this update to where everyone should be a year from now. That a year from now, everyone can take this like they did before the update. You know, if I played this game solidly for a year, if I got all my gem stat rerolls, if I got all my upgrades, and I got stronger gems and stuff, and absurd amounts of power rank and stuff like that, yeah, this might be as good as it was, but then what's the point? What's the point of me gaining 4,000 extra power rank when I can do the same exact thing from before the update, and now because of this update, the economy is even more ruined, because all I have to do is complete this a couple times, get some Forged Souls. Forged Souls, they were like, I think 1,200 before this update, and then within a month, Forged Souls crashed to half their price. So now pretty much what you've done is you've wrecked the economy even more. You've made weekly untradables yet again for something that doesn't reward you. So pretty much they just paused the game for the year. They said everything you've done for last year doesn't matter. Everything you do for this year will put you where you were last year, and we're going to see where these updates go. And they still have no idea. What they're working on is like club worlds. So they want to give you perks for club worlds and stuff. It's like, oh, so that means you're just going to ignore the game for the next 7-8 months again while you focus on club worlds, which don't have anything to do with core gameplay, because what if people don't want to join clubs? No, I don't care about clubs. I don't want to, you know, like whenever I join a club, it's just lower rank players that just want to use me for my power rank. And whenever I join higher rank players, they treat me like crap because I'm not as good as them. You know, I've gotten kicked out of Ultra Daughter of the Moon runs, even though I'm one of the top players in the game, just because I'm not the most hardcore best player ever. So I think, yeah, look at this. I'm just getting absolutely bodied right now, when I used to be able to solo this non-stop all day long. And so that's, I think, another problem. And then the Binding Darkness. Binding Darkness is a joke. It takes so long to get it that actually, here's how I've been able to break the game, guys. So I'll also show you another way that I was able to break the game. I have 18 Binding Darkness. Might seem like a lot, but honestly, I had to pay 500k in-game to get those Binding Darkness, because what you can do is you can, like, get one of these gem deals or something, so every once in a while there'll be, like, a deal where you get 5 times this for the same price. So I'm just spending money on that and getting Binding Darkness, but also I found out that the new system is pretty jank. So I go here, go to normal Darknet, open the lobby, hop on in. Actually, I think I can do it for Daughter of the Moon as well, or something like that. I don't remember which one I was doing, but either way, you can actually game the system really hard. So what I do is, I have like some patron coins from a while ago, so I'll either get my patron perks or whatever. So what you do is you hop in, just like this, you fall down, you kill these guys, and since it's normal mode, it's going to be a lot easier, so I can go and get some gear like that. I can go and kill this guy, and then I can kill that. So yeah, and then what I do is, I leave. And by doing that, I got 5 boss kills that count towards Binding Darkness in a shorter amount of time than anyone could ever get it. And then I just do the same thing. Go to Darknet, open. That's why I have like so many shadow portals, because I just reset. It's the most efficient, most optimal way to not even play the game's content, to make use of the game's content. Now, if I wanted to go for like stellar gear, I could actually get 1 piece of stellar gear every 10 minutes by doing this if I was in a harder mode, or if I had friends, or actually I don't even have to go to like the hardest mode. So another thing I can do is like, look, I kill all that, boom, do that, peace out. I don't even have to kill those 2 sometimes, you know. It is more efficient if you're doing it in the long run, like if you get 5 every 30 seconds or so. But say I want to go for gear. Alright, what I do is I click on hard, I click on the Spike Walker, I open the Spike Walker, and the way the Spike Walker works is I can still get some good gear in a pretty short amount of time. And because it's a hard Spike Walker, I can actually still kill it pretty quickly. So that's another issue. Or maybe it was Weeping Prophet. I guess it was Weeping Prophet. Never mind. So what I do is I go to hard Weeping Prophet or something. Now I'm losing my mind. If you guys have already stuck around for this long in the video, I guess you don't really care how long it's dragging on at that point. So whatever one it is, I open it up, I hop on in, and I just kill all the bosses on the first level pretty quickly, and then I peace out, and now I have gear. And sometimes I get Shadow 5 level gear, I get Radiant, I get, okay, maybe it's, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, it is this one, alright. So yeah, what happens when you have things like this is that we get some boss spawns. So I think if I kill him, he counts as a boss, right? One of these will count as a boss and give me drops and stuff. So I can just do this and grind it really quickly, like boom, there's loot already right there. Sometimes a lot of these guys are usually powered up more, so I guess it's just a bad week. So you just have to like kind of find the good one for the week or something. And then if I'm grinding this properly, if I'm doing it, maybe it is Pinata or something, I don't know. But if I'm grinding this properly, if I'm doing it at the right pace, and I'm actually going super try hard, I can get stellar gear every 5 to 10 minutes and fill up my inventory and make money that way. But that's lame. That, you know, there's so much money being pumped into the game through like deconstructing and all the flux and all the other garbage and stuff. Let's go and just go over here and stuff. So yeah, like if I deconstruct all this, I'll get a couple thousand. But now think about this. There's thousands of players doing this every hour of every day, all the time. So there's like millions of flux being pumped in the game every hour, but it's not really going anywhere, and it's all dispersed, you know? Everyone has little money instead of few people having large money and then being able to consolidate that down, because I remember that there's people that have been very generous to me when they had lots of money, that they would overpay if an item is in demand because they don't want to do it. That's just how the economy works. Right now there's no economy because no one can buy anything off of the market. That I think right now I'm just trying to like do some basic like mount selling. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I mean, there used to be a lot more value going around. That if I was a smaller player, I could either open my dragon caches and try to get a little bit of power out of it, or I could sell them to the players that don't want to do it. I'm not going to go and do this challenge to get a couple of dragon coins. The 5 minutes it takes to do a challenge, not worth my time. I'll just pay 5k instead. I'm making a lower player wealthier, but I'm also gaining power for myself. Trove devs didn't like that for some reason, so there's no economy. There's no tradable things. I've been sitting on this for a while. I've been wanting to like kind of make this a secret and stuff. I guess I showed it anyways. I was expecting that they would do something, you know, make twice forged shadow souls valuable again. These used to be, I think, 600 each. The newer players used to be able to make money. That if you got like a twice forged shadow drop and you already had twice or thrice gear or something, you could deconstruct and make a K. And that's a lot of money to a new player. You can do all sorts of things. Thrice, all of this stuff used to be worth so much. I think thrice were 3k, quad were 10k, penta were 50k or something. Now they're worthless. And I was buying them as they were going down in price, hoping that the devs would do something to make their game better. Like, look at these Forged Radiant Souls. If Forged Radiant Souls pop back up to 100k, you know, I'd be sitting on way too much money. But I mean, I'm not saying that they need to go back to their original value just because I'm playing the market or something. But they need to be worth something again, because this is the biggest piece of content. That outside of gems, there's two things. You get gear and you get gems. And right now, gems are untradeable, gear is the only thing that's roughly buyable, and it's absolutely worthless. And then they introduce this new thing that makes it to where it's impossible to clear, and so now we have tons of struggling players. Like, if you go into Shadow Tower, people begging to beat the hard dot on the moon. That way they might be able to get a gem upgrade or a gem reroll, but they can't do it. So all the higher level players, they're all stuck together, and they're trying their best to, like, hang in there through all of this, and they're still doing, like, some absurd stuff. Like, that's another thing that blows my mind, is that the power disparity in the game is way too high. So we go to Ultra Daughter of the Moon. People are still clearing it in less than 30 seconds. We go to hard mode Daughter of the Moon. Actually, yeah, we look at that. It's like, boom, 30 seconds for Ultra. So that means, at the same time, the new update for Ultra Daughter of the Moon did absolutely nothing. It didn't stunt the toppest of the top highest tier players, but it made it to where all the lower players just got screwed over. All the high to mid tier players like myself got screwed over, and unless you're in the #1 group, unless you're like in the most powerful players, you're absolutely boned right now. And then like you just drop off from there. And then these people aren't going to give you the time of the day. They're not going to help you clear Ultra Daughter of the Moon. They're only going to do it with their quick group that can get it done like that. And these are also players that have been hoarding for a long time, you know? If I knew that Lunar Souls were going to be used in gem stat rerolls, I wouldn't have opened mine up for empowered gem boxes. So there's that person that was sitting on 100 Lunar Souls. He grinded up some Binding of Darkness by doing that refresh trick I did, just clearing the same dungeon over and over really quickly. Maybe even purchased, you know, spent $100, got all the Binding Darkness, got all the Lunar Souls he needed, rerolled all of his gems perfectly, and then he went from being an alright player to now the best player in the game, just because he was sitting on some Lunar Souls, and the game devs don't pay attention to everything they do. Maybe someone else, you know, they've been sitting on these Titan Souls for a while. They've been sitting on Heart of Darkness or Flux, and they were able to just buy some Bound Brilliance, and now they maxed out, but now they're not going to help anyone below them because they were just lucky. They were just fortunate enough to have the right items for the right part of the update. And now me, other players, average players, players below me, we're going to have to play for weeks, for months, to catch up to an update that's way too tough for everyone in the game. So I don't think it's fair. I think they need to make the Shadow Tower easier again. They need to stop this weekly time gating for a lot of the things that a lot of the newer players need. And then, like I said, a year from now, it's not going to matter because they're going to create a new reroll system. They're going to introduce a new update that makes all of these things worthless. That way you can get them almost instantly. New player comes in. They want all their freebies to catch up. And then all this work I'm playing right now doesn't mean anything. all the top players, they catch up, you know, they crush the like it takes them it can take them 6 months to make an update. All the new players, they crush it in 3 weeks. It takes 6 more updates for the update that then makes everyone bad again. I don't know. Like, it's just garbage right now. So hopefully my ranting, maybe you guys heard about it, maybe you guys understand why I don't like Trove anymore. Maybe developers actually hear this. You gotta make tradable items again. You gotta restore value to all these worthless items, or else it's pretty much like they're just paving over, you know. They establish a foundation, players beat it, they pave it over, and then they just start again, and then they try to get new players in, they pave it over, they start again, and then pretty much all your work means nothing. So it sucks. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Like, that's what I mean. They've introduced something and then they forget about it. Like, look at these. Remember rune crafting, farming? They were actually skills in this game. These skills mean nothing anymore. You purchase, you get them maxed out, you never touch them again, and now you have to focus on gems and rerolling your gear and all this other garbage that doesn't mean anything. So guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching. That was a long video.